Hello, I'm Laura Gray, the writer of the one-hour pilot Money in the Walls. I'm glad to be here today and really delighted to share my work with you. Money in the Walls is a Southern Gothic set in rural Arkansas about a tormented woman who discovers her mother is a serial killer and sets out to make amends with the victims' families. This is not a typical serial killer story, as it eliminates the killer in the first episode, spoiler, and then focuses specifically on the victims, including our main character, Arlen, who has lived her entire life enduring the lies and manipulation of a narcissistic murdering mother. While justice, via the fight between good and evil, is a recurring idea explored throughout Money in the Walls, the overarching theme is redemption. Arlen, who carries a great amount of guilt knowing what her mother has done, seeks her own redemption by secretly giving large amounts of money to the families of her mother's victims. In this table read, you'll be introduced to the tone of the series and get a feel for Arlen's dilemma. We've got some great actors lined up to help bring you into the world I've created. I hope you enjoy their performance as much as I do as they read the first 15 pages of Money in the Walls.
Exterior, teenager's car, night. Having just climbed out of the car, young Robin Lynn Loxley, Arlen, 18, a sweet-faced tomboy. She says her farewells to the other teens inside.
See you guys tomorrow.
The car drives away, leaving Arlen standing in the dark at exterior Loxley House, front of house. This is a rural road, dimly lit. Two houses face each other across the pavement, both houses backed by acreage. The Loxley house is brick, with fresh landscaping. Across the street is a small wood-framed house, from which King Richard's mid-60s, working class, black, steps onto his front porch. Arlen, walking to her mailbox, startles at the sound of his door. King stomps forward and looks out into the yard. He notices Arlen, gives her a hard look.
You seen my wife out here?
No, sir.
She watches King, grumbling to himself, take the porch steps and lumber down the side yard toward the back of his house.
Eleanor? Eleanor!
Arlen opens the mailbox, retrieves some letters from inside, and makes the path to exterior Loxley House, front porch. In the glowing porch light, she flips through the mail. She comes to a letter addressed from Yale, tears it open. She releases a squeal of joy. Interior, Loxley House, living room. Arlen bursts through the door and tosses everything from her hands except the letter.
Daddy! Daddy!
She bolts through the house straight to interior Mason Loxley's home office, which is empty. She turns and trots to interior Tucker's room. Inside Tucker, a pudgy 11-year-old wearing a chocolate brown t-shirt, plays a Bible-related video game on a clunky computer. Arlen appears in his doorway.
Tucker, where's Daddy?
Tucker, engrossed in the game, shrugs.
His office?
Arlen rolls her eyes and runs to interior dining room. Empty. Arlen's tone changes from elated to flat.
Mother?
A beat of silence. Then she walks toward the interior kitchen. Empty. The exterior kitchen door stands slightly open. Exterior Loxley House, back, side of house. Arlen steps outside and listens. She cocks an ear. thinks she hears the faintest of voices coming from the woods behind the house. She takes the back steps slowly, then moves towards exterior Loxley property. Having crossed the mowed yard, she approaches the forest edge with all its hollow shadows and creaking crawl-like branches. The voices grow louder, arguing. Arlen picks her way through the dark woods. She meanders next to a little babbling brook and sees ahead. There's a large metal, battery-operated flashlight laying on its side. Arlen steps into its beam and is partially blinded. She stumbles over something and looks down. It's Eleanor Richards, 60s, black, very dead, gaping upward. Arlen trips backwards, dropping her letter from Yale. She scrambles for the flashlight, turning it to Mrs. Richards, whose fingers are curled into claws at her chest, her mouth open in a soft O. In a flash, Arlen lunges away and immediately trips, breaking the glass of the flashlight, snuffing the light. She panics. The quarreling voices ring in her ears as the argument escalates into a woman's scream.
Mother?
Arlen crawls forward, and a few steps further down the path, in the headlights of a car, she sees the shadowy figure of a man mauling her mother. The two figures tumble to the ground in a physical fight. Arlen stumbles, then dashes forward and smacks the man in the back of the head with the broken flashlight. He goes down, groaning. Arlen gulps for air, stunned by her own actions. Then she lunges forward and thwack, hits him again. Arlen's mother, Beth Loxley, a mid-50s Southern belle in pressed and starched, yet soiled, gardening clothes, sprawls, gasping on the ground. Beth's eyes pan from the man to Arlen. Beth calms too quickly. Arlen, shaking violently, moves forward to see the face of the man. It's Mason Loxley, mid-50s.
Daddy? Oh my God. Daddy?
In Arlen's shock, she doesn't notice, but we see that something faintly resembling a smile crosses Beth's face.
No, no, no. Help! Somebody! Help!
Beth stands, brushes herself off, and steps to Mason's side.
Robin Lynn!
Arlen's eyes jump to her mother's face.
Hush! Nobody's gonna hear you all the way out here.
Arlen bites her lips and whimpers. She starts to step toward Mason's limp body.
Stay there!
Arlen freezes. Beth kneels and grasps Mason's wrist. Mason's hand quivers. His fingers move as a sign of life. Arlen's view of his hand is blocked by Beth's shadow. Turning so Arlen can't see, Beth draws a needle from her pocket and jabs Mason's arm. His trembling fingers go limp.
Oh, Robin Lynn, what have you done?
What? What?
He's dead.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Eyeing Mason with disdain, Beth tucks the needle back into her pocket, then heaves his body over, rolling him into a freshly dug grave.
What are you doing? Why did you do that?
Beth slowly comes forward, face to face with Arlen, who stifles her sniveling under the sharp eyes of her mother.
Stop asking questions, honey. You're causing Mother a migraine.
Arlen holds her breath to keep from crying. Beth's face, illuminated by the headlights, is made up of frighteningly sharp angles. She weaves her tale.
I heard something from the house earlier and came out.
Beth points to Mrs. Richards.
That's what I found. It's your father's work.
Arlen bites her lips and shakes her head. Arlen fumbles in her pocket and pulls out a flip phone. Her trembling fingers can't work the buttons.
We should call an ambulance or the police.
Beth snatches the phone from her and contemplates Arlen, slowly shaking her head.
The police? You killed your father after he had killed Mrs. Richards.
Beth stares her down, then sighs, turns, and walks to Mrs. Richards. She holds the cell phone so it's visible.
If I call the police now, you will be in so much trouble.
Beth slides the phone into her pocket and leans down. She grasps Mrs. Richards' ankles and drags her.
So much trouble. In fact, I'm guessing we ought to destroy your phone, honey. Police can use it to track you right here, right now. If news of this were to get out...
Arlen quivers uncontrollably, now realizing the hole in the ground looks like...
Why is there a grave?
He dug it, trying to hide what he'd done.
Beth rolls Mrs. Richards into the grave on top of Mason.
I know you'll likely never appreciate this, but the same would have happened to you if you hadn't killed him first. Just look around.
Arlen scans the nearby woods. She notices 3 other mounds of dirt, also resembling graves.
Are those more?
Women and girls. It was a sickness.
From nearby, Beth produces a shovel.
Now, honey, go on. And we will never tell a soul what you've done.
Beth pushes the shovel into Arlen's chest.
Go on now.
Arlen looks at her mother and shakes her head no.
Go!
She swallows hard, takes the shovel, and steps forward, stifling her sobs. Beth, eyes on Arlen, extracts a pack of Virginia Slims from her pocket and places one between her lips. Cocking her head, obviously pleased with her daughter's misery, Beth lights the cigarette, the fire illuminating a sadistic grin. Interior Tucker's room. Later, Tucker ogles the glowing screen, praising himself with every successful maneuver. The cartoon cat character on screen avoids swipes of roadside demons while running down a narrow path lined with waving banners about God. Arlen wanders in, zombie-like, her hands and face soiled. She holds the letter from Yale, now crumpled and dirty. She collapses next to Tucker on the bed and closes her eyes.
You found Dad?
It takes her a moment to answer.
No.
On the screen, a digital devil pounces on Tucker's character. He shouts, startling Arlen's eyes back open.
Oh, no! The devil got his claws on me. Jeez. I was so close to getting to heaven this time.
A beat of disappointment. He looks at her, offers her the controller.
You want to turn?
Arlen stares blankly at the screen, the red devil cackling as it devours the cartoon cat. The life meter counts down. Exterior, Speedy Stop. 17 years later. Now, current time, day. We pull back from the red-horned laughing devil character on the display sticker of a novelty devil ice cream. Arlen, now 35, stares forlornly at it. The fuel pump behind her clicks as it turns, counting up the cost of gas. We pull out further to see Arlen in the bay of Speedy Stop, having just filled the tank of a shoddy ice cream truck. She shakes herself out of a daze, returns the pump handle, and walks toward Interior, Speedy Stop gas station. Arlen places a cup of the gas station coffee on the countertop. The cashier, Bianca Narrows, early 20s, Hispanic, killing a piece of chewing gum, leans over a thick textbook. She turns exhausted eyes up to Arlen. Arlen's manner is sheepish, but friendly.
Hey. You're new?
Bianca isn't interested in conversation.
Anything else?
A pack of Virginia Slims.
Bianca hands Arlen the cigarettes. Charles Sullivan, the owner of the station, enters from a back room.
Arlen, what do I owe you for fixing the camera?
The cable was 35 and it took me about 2 hours, so $70.
You got it.
Charles fishes cash from the register.
Thanks.
Oh, Arlen, I was talking to Larry over at the theater and recommended you for looking at one of his projectors.
Okay.
Yeah, your dad used to do work for him way back when. Around the time Larry's wife ran off.
Arlen can't help but cringe a little.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, he tried calling your home line, but nobody answered. Life would be easier if you get a cell phone.
I'll call him.
Arlen stumbles out the door. Exterior road, evening. Arlen, with her driver's side window down and a death grip on her steering wheel, navigates the road leading home. A concrete truck lurches out of the entrance of a new subdivision, and she swerves to miss it.
Jesus, a-hole!
She turns fast into the next entrance, which is exterior Loxley House, front of house. Arlen's truck stops fast. The yard is overgrown, the house paint worn. Arlen sits for a beat in contemplation. The alarm on her watch chimes. She releases a long sigh, grits her teeth, and climbs out. She strides to the mailbox. Across the street, King, now 80, sits, slowly swaying in his rocking chair. He and Arlen meet eyes. His expression is frigid. She quickly turns away and opens the box. She pulls out a short stack of envelopes. The one on top is addressed to King Richards. Large red letters, final notice, payment overdue. Arlen's face sags with dread. She turns and crosses the street in the direction of King's mailbox. His cold gaze on her the whole time. She avoids eye contact, speaking to him from the street.
We got some of your mail?
He makes no effort to move from his rocker. His tone is flat.
Just put it in the box.
She nods, does, and turns back to her own house, feeling King's hard eyes drilling into her back. Interior Loxley House, living room. Arlen passes through the dim room, and we see that it is exactly as it was before, but faded from 17 years' wear. Interior hallway. Arlen steps to the door of Beth's room and listens. She knocks softly.
Mother?
No answer. Arlen tiptoes to the interior kitchen. Arlen prepares food in the kitchen, which is also exactly the same, only 17 years faded. Into a casserole dish, Arlen spoons a thick mushroom gravy over one chicken breast, adds the last garnish of chopped chives, and places the dish into the oven. Interior dining room. Later, Arlen arranges a single setting on the dining room table with precision. The plate, utensils, glass, carafe of water perfectly positioned, a pillbox turned just right. She hears the television come on in the other room and stiffens. She swallows hard, then moves toward interior living room. Arlen quietly enters the room. Dim beside the glowing television and side table lamp, an empty wheelchair sits in the corner. Beth, now 70s, ashen, wearing a satin dressing gown and soft knit turban over a bald scalp, slumps on the couch, smoking a cigarette. Beth gazes, glassy-eyed, at the plump and sweat-shine televangelist on the screen. Arlen clears her throat. She's ignored.
Your dinner is
Hush! Tucker's on.
Beth motions a bony hand, perfectly painted, blood-red nails at the screen. We see that the televangelist is Tucker, now 28. He swaggers with confidence and draws on every ounce of his bloated Southern charm. Beth turns up the volume. Arlen bites her lip. Her eyes trail off to the distorted reflection of the TV in the dark room. She half listens to Tucker's sermon.
You think you cannot outrun the devil once he's got his talons sunk deep. And you cannot without the help of Lord God and Savior.
The wealthy white TV audience of starched suits and sprayed hair interjects multiple amens and hoots of approval.
Those who suffer, don't lose hope. No, those of you who have sinned, don't lose faith. No, for we are but sheep, clothed as men and women, and it is by the shepherd's grace that we find the strength to tell the devil, God is with me. Away from me now, away, devil. And in doing so, we will be washed clean of all things, I say things.
Tucker is emotional, drunk on the Holy Spirit, an open palm raised to the Lord. Applause and shouts from the audience as members cry out, "Away from me, devil. God is with me."
Oh.
Tucker nods, smiling over his flock, and dabs the sweat from the rolls on the back of his neck with a silk handkerchief. Commercial break. Beth presses the mute button and glowers at Arlen, who startles to attention. Arlen sidles across the living room to the front door.
Your dinner is in the oven. The timer is set.
Arlen approaches the door. Beth extends an open palm.
Your rent was due yesterday.
Arlen freezes, then fishes a short stack of bills from her pocket. She surrenders it to Beth. Beth extends her open palm again. Arlen pulls the pack of Virginia Slims from her other pocket and hands it over too.
I'm going out. I'll be back in a few hours to clean up.
Out, she says. Don't trek in any dirt.
Beth cranks up the volume of the TV. Arlen lowers her eyes and turns to leave.
And you have that front lawn mowed first thing tomorrow morning. This house is looking like a backwoods shanty.
Arlen is out the door before Beth is finished. Exterior Loxley House. Front, night. Arlen, head down, crosses the yard to a truck. Exterior Richard's home. On his front porch, King still rocks in his chair, taking long, slow draws on a cigar. He watches Arlen climb into a truck and reverse to the street. She drives a short distance down the blacktop and takes a hard turn onto a dirt road that leads to the back of the Loxley property. Her taillights disappear into the woods. Exterior Loxley property. Burial Site 37. Later. Through the eerie stand of forest, we come to the babbling creek. Filtering through the bubbling of water, we hear the sound of digging. Arlen, sweaty, heaves her shovel. This is strenuous work. She pauses, drops to her knees in the depths of the hole, and lifts a 20-year alkaline preserved human skull, tufts of brittle hair, and leather skin still attached. She pulls forward a flashlight for a better look.
Baby teeth.
Arlen releases a sob of anguish. She collects herself and gets back to work. She illuminates the decayed remains of a white lace dress, bone shards, hair barrettes, a little girl's red patent leather shoes. A brand snaps. Arlen raises her head from the hole, scanning the woods. Silence. Eyes back to the hole, she pulls a camera from her satchel. Her bulb flashes. Another snap. She stands upright.
Who's there?
Rustling in the underbrush, and she's out of the hole, in pursuit, pushing through the low branches. She maneuvers deer-like through the forest, knowing every path and shortcut. She darts through a stretch of underbrush, reaches the edge of the property, and finds a tear in the fence. Arlen climbs through and is at the edge of the exterior Meadowbrook subdivision. She stands breathless, wild eyes searching. 3 kids pump their bikes, riding away, laughing and hooting, illuminated by newly placed streetlights in the early stages of a neighborhood development. Arlen breathes hard. On the fence behind her, keep out, warning, no entry, private property.
Stay off my property, you little creeps!
Past a stretch of stick frame houses, sprinklers work on fresh sod. Lights glow through freshly hung curtains in crisp new homes. The kids have disappeared. Arlen, eyes scanning the now empty street, slinks backwards through the hole in the fence, back into the misery of her life.